Hello, Cyril.
How are you?
So wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Likewise, yes, yes. Apologies for the background noise there. So Jenny Marr is a global advisor for New York City real estate. Very, 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 very passionate as well about some other sort of NGO activities. But I'm going to invite Jenny to give us a quick intro of herself, and then we'll get to find out more about Jenny's stories. So over to you, Jenny.
Fantastic, Cyril. How much time
Yeah.
do I have?
You have about 5 minutes, Jenny.
Oh, okay, great. So I hope I
Yes,
won't bore everyone for this 5 minutes.
I'm
First of
sure not.
all, it's I want to say that this is an interesting day. We're doing this because our company was just saying that, oh, today is the Women's Equality Day. Then I thought,
Ah,
wow, how
okay,
amazing is that I am
coincidental.
doing this talk today.
Yes,
And,
yes. Good,
it is
good.
an honor to be
Sure.
here to share my stories. So, first of all, I'm based in New York City. I've been
Yeah.
here for 23 years. I was born in Hong Kong. I'm half Filipino. I came to New York 23 years ago with a job. And at that time, I was in a fashion industry. So I was in the fashion industry for 16 years. The first 8 years was with family business. Then the latter 7 years, I worked for a international French magazine, and yeah. And so what is interesting is that first of all, about my background, I'm half Chinese and half Filipino.
Mm,
Was born in Hong Kong, lived in the Philippines for 6 years during childhood, and then I
mm,
went to a British Army school, high school. So I grew up with the British. So I was like pretty much like in, exposed to a world of different culture already as
mm.
a young child. And as I am growing up, I'm just kind of like realizing how interesting my life path is. And then now I'm in United States.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. That's
Yeah,
really great.
yeah,
That's a very, very interesting background there. So your different cultures as well is obviously helping you to become the person you are, I believe.
absolutely. It's really
Yes.
shaped me up to who I am today.
Right. Right.
And so I grew up being passionate with fashion. I remember, I guess it was an influence. I remember I was a very shy child as a
Mm,
young girl in the Philippines. And one day I was in our sewing class, and I was probably 10 years old. And somehow, just the way that the sewing teacher came up to me, just showing me what to do at that moment, it like left a real big imprint in me.
mm, mm,
And so ever since then, I never really played dolls growing up, but then I started making, it gave me a focus. I started making clothes for my doll. And interestingly, then when I went to back to Hong Kong and attended a high school in this British school, I excelled in sewing. And then, at the school, when there's like a play or costumes made, I would be one of the first students to be approached by my teachers.
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's
So anyway,
great.
so fast forward,
Mm,
and I got interested in fashion,
mm,
and but my first career was unplanned when I started in fashion. And when I was 19, I joined our family business. But already at that time, or I already knew that having my own fashion brand was going to take a lot of funding, and I knew at that time we didn't have this kind of funding. So I
right.
ended up, learning the ropes in the fashion industry. So the first 8 years
Mm,
were with my family. Then when I finally subsequently left family business after being a graphic designer, I also did advertising. I helped revamp the retail stores. And after
mm,
that, I got a job with Elle magazine. And at that
Right.
time in Asia, Elle Magazine had a very, very large licensing business. So it
Mm,
was just fitting that they were looking for somebody at that time. And this was like in the early 90s. And I had the profile, I had all the experiences. And from
mm,
there on, it was just a very fortunate path for me. I started traveling 30% of our time from when I was in Asia, from Hong Kong to Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. And
wow.
my territory at that time was in Southeast Asia. So I
Mm,
think having mentioned about my upbringing being half Chinese, half Filipino, and
mm,
going to a school, British school, I think that kind of like gave me a sense of a worldly mindset. And then
mhm.
it just like the doors just opened up for me
Awesome.
on that. Yeah.
Great. That's really really great. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we'll be talking a lot about culture together. So I'm sure your
Yeah.
insights will become really really useful for our audience. So that's yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that with us, Jenny.